Everyone, so we're off on a big trip in the EV. This week we're driving from Newcastle all the way down to Manchester Airport. We do limit how much we fly, and we're trying to think about going to 0 flights, but just one this year for some winter sun to perk us all up, because we had a horrible winter last year with being ill all the time. And we're going on 3 holidays this year, and 2 of them are EV holidays in Europe. So we are looking to reduce our carbon footprint of our holidays, etc., and minimizing it as much as we can. But we're having one guilty pleasure this winter, because it is at least super important to us to limit our carbon emissions. You may think differently, but anyway, here's a quick little video about our journey in the EV, and we'll go through how much it might cost, how far we've got to go, and how convenient, inconvenient it might be. So let me know in the comments below if you would do anything a different way, and if you think this is more inconvenient than petrol, or just the same, or what do you think about the cost savings, or how much it might cost to charge? All right, let's show you the journey. And welcome back. So let's have a look at the journey here. As you can see, we're coming down from the coast at Newcastle, down the A19, over onto the A1M, and across the M62, and around the northwest side down to the airport. The Google is suggesting that it's going to take 3 hours and 20 minutes, so that's nice to know, and it's 164 miles. Well, how much range do we have on the car, and what might that mean? Because it's winter and it's cold, right? We're going for some winter sun. But if we go into the Hyundai app, and this won't rotate landscape, I'm afraid, we've got 233 miles on the car. And look, here is a visual depiction of what that means. It means we could drive to the outskirts of London, the M25, almost to Cardiff, and north of Aberdeen on one charge. So that should be nice and easy. So that is that. What do you guys think about that journey? We won't be able to get all the way back, though, will we? Because it's 164 miles, and that would mean 328 miles. So we'll have to charge somewhere. So let's think about where we're going to charge and what we could do. So let's get out of Google Maps and get in to Octopus Electroverse, and let's have a look. Does this go portrait? No. Okay, sorry guys. So let's look at routes. Let's come from home and let's go to we'll have to put some waymarks in, won't we? So the first one we want to go to is Manchester Airport. Good. Take me there. Great, yes. Smashing. And then we need to put in my dad's. And so for my dad's, we'll put in St. Anne's. And that's all stuff that's up here. St. Anne's, Black. Cool. You will do. Smashing. And then we'll put in home again. We'll put in Whitley Bay. Great. So let's have a look at that. And what does it suggest we'll do? So we are starting off with 100% charge. We're happy to arrive with 10, and we will calculate our route. So let's see what it shows us. So here we go. So it says we're going to go south on the A1M after coming down on the A19, and we're going to come, as we said, down the A1M across the M62, but it's suggesting that we come off the M62 just after Rochdale on the A62, and our first charge will be here, which is at McDonald's with an Instavolt. So this is not a bad suggestion. Instavolt are quite expensive, they're 85p, but I get an Octopus Electroverse discount of 8%, so that's bringing it down, I don't know what, 8p or something like that. Maybe a bit less, but it's more affordable. But after 9 p.m, that comes down to a 54 pence per kilowatt hour if you use the Instavolt app. which is quite interesting. And so we're only going to have a 25-minute stop on a 3-hour journey. So that's not bad. And that should be enough time to get a McDonald's, basically, get a burger. So we might have been driving since 3:30 after picking the kids up. And we'll probably be hungry after what is most likely, 143 miles. So that's going to at least be 2 hours of 60 mile an hour or 2 hours of 70 miles an hour, isn't it? So a 2.5 hour journey. And then we'll get to Manchester Airport with a battery that's about 50% charged, 55 there. And then I can get to my dad's and still have some charge left. So we're arriving back. So obviously we're going to go to Manchester River, we're going to fly, and then we'll come back. We'll only have lost 8% or less than that over a week. And then we've got enough juice to drive to my dad's. Now there is an Instavolt there, and we're getting back in the middle of the night. So there's an Instavolt there that we can again use at 54p per kilowatt hour. And we'll probably set off from there with 100%. Because I'll be sleeping, etc. And then we won't need to charge at Lancaster North. But if we do, there's now an Ionity there. That's great. I thought that was just going to be a grid serve on the motorway, but there's an Ionity there, and you can get those with a £5 or a £10 subscription for only 43 pence, which is absolutely fantastic. So that makes the travelling very affordable. And my car does 4 miles per kilowatt hour, so that's 10p a mile. So that's a rapid charger that's still cheaper than petrol. My old petrol Swift used to do 50 miles per gallon, and at current petrol prices, that would be about 12.5p a mile. So rapid chargers are more expensive than home charging at 7p, but still you can get them with a subscription, and IoT are really popular, easy to get to brand. They're quite accessible, and there's loads of chargers there usually. Yeah, you're still cheaper than petrol, so have that. Right, so we'll save that now, shall we? So it says 4 stops, but we'll reduce that to actually only 2 chargers. One on the way down and one at an Instavolt by my dad's. And that's it. The other stops are just for where the humans want to go. And actually, both charges are going to be when we will need to stop for some food anyway, although we could have eaten at the hotel, I suppose, and kept our hunger locked up till tea time. But let me know, how would you do this? And also, while I'm on the Octopus Electroverse app, just how many chargers are there in the UK? Let's get rid of Type 2, and let's make sure that we only focus on good rapid chargers and that only have 6 or more. Let's just have a quick look at that app. So it's not as if I didn't have loads of different options to choose from. And so actually, if there is a big price difference between anything, then I could choose to charge somewhere else and save a lot of money, couldn't I? Which would be the sensible thing to do, because often motorway service stations are expensive for petrol as well, aren't they? Everyone seems to handily forget. So there's loads of different options down here for where I could charge. There's a Tesla here at Scotch Corner that isn't open to non-Teslas, actually, sadly. There's a grid serve here, which isn't on the Octopus Electroverse, so there's actually way more chargers than this map would suggest. But there's loads of other options just off the M62 that we could go for as well. So if I feel like I can get a better deal, 73p at MFG, for example, then there's loads of other places I could go. So let me know if you do anything different, or what you think. Is it going to be more expensive or cheaper? And I'll tot up all the costs and let you know. We're starting from 100% battery. That's 64 kilowatt hours of electricity in there. Probably taken about 70 kilowatt hours to fill it up. That's at 7p. So I don't want to try and do that maths in my head, but I'm going to suggest that it's £4.90. And hopefully that is about right. I'll see you in the next one and put the maths up properly. Ciao. Hi everyone, this is the boot of the 2020 Kona, and this area under the partial shelf is 363 litres, which can fit 1 adult suitcase, 2 child suitcase, and then you can shove a load of little bits and soft bits all around it. But let's see if taking the false floor turns this into a much more holiday suitable boot. Back in a flash, 3, 2, 1. And ping, 1 large adult suitcase, 1 normal, 1 child, and 1 carry-on suitcase. in a much larger area, and still plenty of room for coats on the top. Not bad, eh? What do you think? Is the Kona EV big enough as a family EV? What do you think about the... Oh, helps if you open it, Lewis, doesn't it? What do you think about the rear passenger leg room? The wife's not that tall, that can go forward, but plenty of room for adults and an extra suitcase. Ciao, everyone. Hi everyone, so we made it. Oh god, that's dark. We made it to Manchester, and a McDonald's, or as our kids call it, the Yellow Cafe, and to an Instavolt station. So let's have a wee look over here. Ooh, sort out that terrible contrast. Good, so 85p, but I'm getting an Electroverse discount, so don't worry about that. And at 40% we're still getting 54 kilowatts. So that's not bad either, and to go to 100% would be 95 minutes, so we're not going to do that. We've got a nice Renault Clio blocking this one, but otherwise I'm stuck in the car because the youngest one doesn't want to go inside. She's refusing, so I'm going to have a little sit down here and we'll see how we go. But the journey is going all right so far. 2.5 hours down here to Manchester. Bit of an achy bum. How are you, darling? You okay? Yep. So we'll have a McDonald's and go off to the hotel. See you in the next one. So hi guys, so this was a whole of 3 hours driving, and you can see that the outside temperature is 13, but the battery is remaining between 21 and 23, and we've just plugged in for a rapid charge and we're getting 54 kilowatts at 40%, so this is about only 2/3 of the maximum, so you do need quite warm temperatures to get your maximum charge rate, so do be prepared for not getting your peak speeds when you plug in, especially on older cars who don't have the software. They might have the hardware, but they don't always have the software to preheat the battery to prepare it to accept the maximum currents that it can do. All right, see you in the next one, guys. I'll let you know how hot it gets. Ciao. Hi again. So we've just finished rapid charging, or I'm just about to stop it, and the battery's heated up to 31 degrees. We never quite got up to the maximum charging speed of 77 because we've hit 74, and we only got up to a maximum of 60 kilowatts. The maximum is 77, but we get massive reduction in the rapid charge speed once you hit 74%. So we've gone from 38 to 74% in not very long, which is great. See you in the next one, guys. Hi everyone, so this is what we left the car on, 67% and 148 miles. But let's see how much we have in the battery when we press refresh. How much have we lost in a week? Let's press refresh and find out. There we go. We're about to go home tomorrow. It's about 170 miles home, so we'll need another charge, but I can do it from my dad's granny charger. So let's see if this eventually works and how much miles we've got. Vehicle status check complete. We have lost no miles and no battery percent. Wonderful. Did you expect that? I found that before, last time I've gone away for a week's trip. Almost no range loss, which is wonderful. So we're back in the car. We got a bit of a delay on our flight, so we were supposed to land at midnight, but didn't land till 1:30 for one reason or another, and we were a bit too knackered to stop anywhere and charge. My dad's is right near an Instavolt, so I thought I'd drop the kids off at home, I'd plug in for half an hour and then come in and sleep, but I was too exhausted, and we were too exhausted to face the journey from Manchester Airport back to Newcastle, so we were always going to stop in Blackpool or Lytham St Anne's at my dad's anyway, but we were just a bit too shattered to really even bother getting the granny cable out of the boot from under all our bags and plug in, and we don't have a proper EV charger here anyway, so it'd only be a 10 amp 2 kilowatt charge, and I'm not sure it could have added enough miles anyway. So we started at the airport at 145, which is exactly what we dropped it off at, 146, 145. And came here on the 45-50 minute journey over to Lytham St Anne's, and even though I slept maybe 3 hours on the plane, I was absolutely shattered. I couldn't have managed to get home safely anyway. But I think because we got in at 4 a.m. and we were waking up and wanting to go at sort of 10, those 6 hours of the 2 kilowatt charger would only have added, what, 12 kilowatt hours? So really not a lot anyway, and there's losses in that, so maybe only 10. And so how far could we have gotten that anyway? Only another 40 miles, and we arrived here with 90 on the clock. So that would mean only adding 40 miles, so 130 miles, so we shouldn't have got us home anyway, so it wasn't really a solution. There is an Instavolt that's half price at 54p overnight from 9 p.m. till 7 a.m, so that was a good option. If I wasn't knackered enough, I could have driven just the 200 yards to the Instavolt thing and then come back once we'd had enough range added. So maybe I should have done that, but ultimately I was just a bit too tired. So we've got a few options on the way home. We've got Ionities, we've got Teslas. Now, Tesla's supposed to be one of the cheaper charging stations, but they're charging 65p to non-Tesla people on a weekend, which is not cheaper than anyone else anyway. And obviously Musk isn't a great character at the moment, and so any reason not to give him money is a good one. So I thought I might try my first Tesla supercharger attempt on the way home, but we haven't got quite enough to get to the new ones at Durham, which I wanted to go have a look at and look out on the channel for those soon. There's a few here on the way to Preston as well, so I was going to try those, but at 65p it's not cheaper than Blink here at 66p, or really even Instavolt with the Octopus discount at like 74p. Doesn't really seem worth it to give a fascist any money, so not going to be doing that. But there is some Ionities here in Blackpool at Stanley Park, right by the zoo, so we might plug in there, go for a walk around the park, grab a cake or maybe some lunch and set off home, or we could just drive home. And at Lancaster there's a McDonald's and there's that Instavolt there with 12 too, and you can get those for 43p if you give them a tenner. And actually I'll work out how much you have to charge for that to be worth it. So I'll just pause here and do some maths in my head and I'll get back to you. So I've just thought it through. So the raw price for Ionity is 73p, and if you pay them a tenner, you get it for 43p. So that's a 30p difference. And so if you want to make back that tenner, you divide £10 by 30p saving, and so you should get about 33 kilowatt hours. So that's half your battery. Well, in my car it's half my battery, and that might only be a 40-minute charge while we have lunch and walk around the park just to get a bit of energy release from the kids' legs before we set off on the 3.5-hour journey. So I think that might be the plan. Maybe I'll get an Ionity subscription for this month, because a tenner plus 43p is going to be cheaper than 73p. Although I could get it for 68p through the Octopus thing. So it's 6 and 1.5 dozen of them. It'll work out about the same price either way. But if you're going to charge one more time Ionity ever, or if I was just going to leave it charging for a bit longer to give us a bigger gap to get home safely, then it'll be more and more worth it to just get the subscription. But that's how subscriptions work. Anyway, so I'll see you in the next one. I'll just show you the range and some of the different charging options on the screen, and hopefully add all this up together and show you what a big round trip to an airport is like in an EV. It's not cost us too much so far and has been relatively stress-free, other than just tiring getting back late. We had a beautiful holiday in Sharm, by the way. I really recommend winter sun. So we're only going to fly in the winter to get winter sun rather than in the summer, when for us the ferry to Europe's hot enough anyway, and easy enough from us in Newcastle. I know friends that have just done the Channel Tunnel as well, so they drove down to Kent and got the Channel Tunnel, but their drive down, particularly in Kent, roads awful, Nigel Farage waving stuff at you and all that kind of crap, just wasn't fun. So yeah, I don't fancy a 7-hour drive before doing anything, whereas I can just drive 5 minutes to the ferry and pop on. It's nice and easy, and the sort of seas have never been too bad, etc. And it's a nice experience. So I'll see you in the next one. Like, comment, subscribe and all that jazz, and have a look out for my referral codes. If you want to join Octopus, you get 50 quid. If you want to join Octopus Electroverse for charging on the go, you get a fiver. I'll put an Instavolt one up as well, so you can get a fiver from them too, because they're expensive, so reduce your costs on that. And then if you want to buy any second-hand electronics, back market, look at the description for back market refurbished electronics, save you waste and get a tenner off. Awesome. Okay, ciao. Hey everyone, so this is our current range. We've driven up from Manchester Airport, which is between Manchester and Stockport down there somewhere. Manchester Airport, there you go. Perfect. And we came up here on the M56 and on the M60. Well, we probably went this way on the M60 Ring Road, M61 up here and across to Preston. Now, there are some Tesla superchargers along this road just here, and as well as just here. But as I said, I'm not keen on those. So what we might do is go to Stanley Park here, where there's Ionity just here near the golf club. So that's an option. Or we could make it to Lancaster, where there's loads of grid serves and all that sort of thing, but also a McDonald's and a Ionity down here by the Riverside Industrial Estate. So McDonald's here, Instavolt just here. So that's something we could do too. Plus loads of other chargers on the way. There's the Carnforth chargers as well that I covered, being upgraded on those services too. So there's loads of different options along the way home within range. We couldn't quite get to the Ionities at Carlisle, and often we like to go across through Kirby Stephen and over through Brough before going over the road, and we definitely, well, actually not definitely, but we wouldn't make it quite to the Scotch Corner services I want to thought for. Teslas have got a Holiday Inn here they can charge at, but it's not open to others, and you've got your grid serves at the back of Scotch Corner there. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one. Right, we've started charging, so we arrived here at Ionity at 20%, and we're paying 43p and not 74p, which is amazing. And it's only 9 degrees outside, so the Kona can charge at 77 at 20%, but we're starting at 40, and we'll see how it warms up, and I'll check on my car scanner app to see how hot the car is. Okay, off to McDonald's, see you in a bit. So as you can see everyone, we've just ordered our McDonald's, and we've already added 5 kilowatt hours or 20 miles, and we've barely even had to wait for our food yet. So there's loads of wasted time. It's 8 minutes, loads of wasted time just getting yourself sorted and ordering your lunch and all that sort of thing when you're on an EV journey. So you couldn't be in and out here in 5 minutes like a petrol stop anyway. You'd be doing this sort of waiting in any case, and this is all passive while you're getting your McDonald's sorted. Alright, see you in the next one. Ciao. So hi everyone, we're back from McDonald's, and you can see it was 17 minutes. We've gone up from 20 to 36%. We've added 14 kilowatt hours, and we're now up to 53 kilowatts. So let's see if we're hotter in the car. And I haven't even eaten my lunch yet. That is just with ordering the food and waiting for it. So let's check it out, the car scanner data. See you in a bit. Hi everyone, so we're just outside the car and the charger now. We've got to 60%. It's taken 35 minutes. We've added 30 kilowatt hours. So I think I've reached that price parity, and we finally saw 70 kilowatt charging as the battery has got to 25 degrees minimum. So the min needs to be 25 for you to get your full speed. And that took a whole of 35 minutes of charging because only 8 degrees outside, as you can see. So that's one of the tricks to EV charging. Ideally you have preheating, but on my car you don't, so you're at the will of what the battery will take at the start. So we'd have added much more if the battery was hot and we were getting a consistent 77 kilowatt charging rather than the 40 that we started with. The average has probably been about 60. Alright, so I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and we've been charging for 35 minutes. We're probably ready to go now, and it was at least 20 minutes waiting for the food. And we're just going to wait for 10 more miles before we set off, so we've got a nice buffer. But with the battery being nice and hot, it'll perform much better, and we'll get much better efficiency, I hope. So yeah, 62% should be enough to get back to Newcastle Whitley Bay area from Lancaster, Ionity. It's been quite a good little charging station here.
So we made it back with a tiny buffer. So we left about 20 miles gap from what we charged at McDonald's. We probably stayed 2 minutes longer than we wanted to. We'd finished our food and just thought, we're only on 111 miles, we've got 122 to go. Let's just give it 5 minutes to give us a little buffer. We left 20, so it was going to be 140 miles of range that we had, and we need to go 122. And now, as you can see on the dash here, we've got 34 miles remaining. We're here at 15%, and so that was perfect. Just a 35-minute stop from McDonald's with maybe just 2 minutes of waiting. Couldn't have really even filled up a tank of petrol in that time. And we've got great efficiency on the way back. Let's see if I can show you that. So all in all, 170 miles, 4 miles a kilowatt hour. And our Ionity subscription meant that this journey's been done on 43p electricity. So that's going to be like 11 pence a mile, which is still cheaper than petrol. So even though it's used an expensive rapid charger, still cheaper at petrol. 50 miles a gallon will be about 12.5p. I worked it out in the past. So yeah, super thrilled with that. Not being a stressful journey at all. EVs for the win. So if you've got any questions about long distance in EVs, where to rapid charge, where to choose to charge, because that's the main one. I'll do some top tips for new EV drivers, or even those more experienced, how to get the cheapest travelling and things like that, and how to organise your rapid charging journeys if you need to do one, so that you're not out and that you still can travel cheaper than petrol. All right then. I've got to go do a lot of washing and stuff after a week's holiday away, so I'll see you in the next one. Thanks everyone. Like, comment, subscribe. Ciao.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the roundup video for our EV journey there and back again from Wheatley Bay to Manchester Airport. And I'm going to cover costs in this part of the video, as well as did we have the right strategy, where can you stop, and why might you want to choose to stop in different places to minimise your costs, and also sort of minimise any stoppage time on your journeys, so you get the most value out of your time, really, and how you can sort of plan an EV journey and what DC rapid charging looks like. So first we'll deal with how long was the trip, and what might have been the petrol alternative. So the trip was 388 miles. Now my old petrol Swift had a 40-litre tank, could do about 50 miles to the gallon, and so if you do the maths on that, that means it could do around 400 miles for about 50 quid. So what I might have done is I might have, on the way back from work or something, I had a day off before this, could go to the cheapest local supermarket or wherever that sold fuel the cheapest, and we could have filled up and forgot about it and just about managed to get home with no bother at all. And we'll see if that would have been quicker, because that is the statement from a lot of people who are doubtful about EVs, skeptical about EVs, that EV drivers waste loads of time charging, or it's going to take you ages, or you might charge for hours, and it's going to make any long journey like this just absolutely ridiculous. So we'll question that claim in a minute, but it would have been around 50 quid. So let's go through the actual cost of what I spent in number one, and in number two we'll do what if I managed to optimize it for the cheapest DC rapid charging, and three, because I was having a pit stop at my dad's, what would happen if when I stayed there I could just charge to full on a home charger that you could have if you'd embraced EV like I've been trying to get into. So first things first, what did we spend? Well, all in all we spent $47.60. The breakdown of that would be to charge up when we got home. We need to fill up a 64 kilowatt hour battery at 7p on our overnight tariff. That's around £4.50. Now there are other advantages to having an EV charger at home. I plugged in at 3 o'clock when we got home today, 3 in the afternoon, and then all evening, all the way to 4 a.m. is now 7p instead of 24p. So we're doing loads of washing from holiday. Instead of paying 24p for electricity, we're paying 7. So there's intangible benefits that might reduce that cost a little bit. But already, on what I did, we're already cheaper than petrol. Because petrol would have been about 50 quid, and this is 47.60. fair enough, there might have been a little petrol left in the tank, but barely any. So that's good. So where did we stop and how much did it cost? Well, after about driving 3.5 hours from Whitley Bay near Newcastle upon Tyne all the way down to Manchester, getting to the M60, getting a bit tired, getting a bit hungry, and about 7:30, the kids were waking up and wanting some dinner. So before we got to Manchester Airport Terminal 1, we decided to stop somewhere for food. And some of the apps that through the Android CarPlay were saying that there was a McDonald's nearby with an Instavolt. Now that's not the cheapest place to charge, but they tend to be quite reliable. And so we thought, well, that's reasonable. It's near a fast food place. It's only a couple of miles ahead. And my car sat nav was saying that it was available, and there was a couple of them. So let's just do that. It was only going to be 5 minutes, and while stopped at a traffic light, I could quickly play on the sat nav and get that sorted, and off we went. So we've been driving for about 3 hours or something like that. It was 15 degrees out, and the battery had some time to warm up, but actually, it doesn't heat up that much because the engines and the batteries are all quite efficient. Sorry, electric motors, not engines. And we're down to about 30% charge. We used about 70% of our charge by then. And so we added 29.5 kilowatt hours, and we did that in 29 minutes. So that works out about 60 kilowatt charging on average. When we first plugged in, you'll see from the video beforehand, we were getting about 50, but it did go up to the max of 70 or 77. But the average is about 60 over that half an hour, and 30 kilowatt hours, about what we got, is about half the battery. So we went from 30% to 74%. And Instavolt cost 85p. This is why I'm saying it's not an optimized for cost run at all. But by using Octopus Electroverse, referral code for a free $5 for you down below, you can get an 8% discount if you're an Octopus Intelligent home tariff, and that took it down to 78p. So we would have paid 25 quid, but we paid 23 quid, so saved 2 quid with that scheme from Octopus. So thank you, Greg. And 29 minutes that charge, that was enough to plug in, go in, get the food, order it, bring it back to the car and eat. We had a grumpy toddler who didn't want to go in and eat in there, so that's how long it took us. That's how long it took us to order the food on a random Saturday night, and that's how long it took us to eat it and then go. There was no waiting whatsoever. The car was ready to go, and we were 74% is the perfect time to stop charging, because well, at least in my Kona, because that's when my charge curve starts to reduce. And so instead of getting the peak 77s, you're going to start to get 40 kilowatts, and you just be wasting loads of time waiting to get 100. You don't need to wait for that. So we stopped and we just went. And as you'll see, that we arrived at Manchester Airport with about 145, 146 miles, and we barely lost any over that week. So that's another myth busted. But then a week later, after the holiday, we pick it up, same state of charge, same miles left on the battery, and we drive back to my dad's. So it's about an hour from Manchester Airport, because it's Lytham St Anne's. And because we were due to get back at midnight, I was thinking, oh, I'll probably sleep on the plane. I usually do, but I'll probably be too tired to drive 3-4 hours back up to Newcastle. So we'll go there, and we might plug in on the drive, and we'll top the car up, and hopefully that'll be just about enough range. But we were delayed 2 hours. I was knackered. I couldn't be bothered getting the suitcases out to get the granny charger in to plug into his outdoor socket. It was all just too much faff, and I was absolutely exhausted. And neither did I fancy driving half a mile up the road to an Instavolt to take advantage of their 54p rate overnight between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. if you use their app. So what I did instead was just left it on the road and just went to sleep, and figured we'll just charge en route and it won't cost us any time. So that night was pretty cold. It was about 2 degrees, and so the battery might have been 2 degrees when we woke up, and finally we're ready and eating our breakfast and got ourselves packed again. It was quite late. It was probably about 11 a.m. We're still shattered. I'm still shattered now, probably look exhausted. but it's about 9 degrees when we left, so the battery might have been between 2 and 9 degrees. We only drove 40 minutes before we wanted lunch, and luckily I'd looked up where a good cheap place to charge might be, and this time it was at Ionity. So I'll flash up a picture of the Ionity passport deal that you can get. And I'd noticed when looking this up that usually it'd be £9.99. I think it's gone up to £10.50, but they're doing a promotion where it's £7 for now, and so you can reduce that rate from 74p all the way down to 43p. And I thought that's saving. I'll probably pay for that in just one charge. It recommends if you're going to do multiple charges a month to use the higher payment one, but I did the maths and I worked out that actually I've only got to charge about 30 kilowatt hours, and that'll be enough. So what we did was, for 37 minutes, remember the battery's cold, EVs don't charge well when they're cold if you don't have preheating and stuff, and my old 2020 model Kona doesn't. The new one does, but there's a very fiddly way of doing it, and it's a bit pernickety. You've got to set a destination as the charger, and then it'll ask if you want to preheat, and it'll only preheat if your percentage is not going to get too low at the end. It's a bit of a pain. A lot of other software, car companies have got better software that do it a lot easier, or you can manually just say, heat the battery please. And so we, for 37 minutes instead of the 29, went from 20% up to 65%. And when we got there, you should have seen the videos or the clips of how warm the battery was. It wasn't quite hitting the peak rate. When we first started, it was only getting 40 kilowatts, and jumped up to 70 just as we were about at 65%, where we were almost ready to go. And when the battery just got over 25 degrees is when it hit that peak rate. So you really need the battery to be a lot higher state of, lower state of charge, and a warm enough temperature. So it's why charging is better in summer. And so we paid £14 for that charge. We took 32.8 kilowatt hours, and at 43p that works out about £14. But I paid the £7 subscription charge, so that was £21. But you can already see that that's cheaper than the £23 we paid for a slightly lower amount of charge at Instavolt. So do try and optimize your journeys for where you're going to charge, where you're going to stop. And actually, if I was going to plan this journey a bit better, just 5 miles and 5 minutes round on the M60 is, I think, near Hale. In Manchester, there is another Ionity hub right by McDonald's. So if I'd have just thought about and planned my journey a bit better for cost-wise, I got that Ionity subscription beforehand, instead of paying £47.60, which averages out at 12.2p a mile, I would have managed to only pay £39.50 or 10p a mile. Probably just a bit over 10p, isn't it? Because 388 miles, but yeah, less than 11p a mile. So that's wonderful. Both those things are cheaper than petrol. Remember the £50 figure? Over 388 miles, that's around 12.5p a mile. So it's cheaper than rapid charging, as long as you've got the home charging to start off with. That brings the average down. And now, what about if I'd managed to do this on my home charging and then my dad's home charging only? Well, 2 full charges of the battery would only be £9. But I don't know whether to count me full charging the battery before I go, then at my dad's, and then refilling it the next day. Is that for this journey? Is that for not? I don't know. But it's between £9 and £13.50, which is between 2.3 and 3.5 pence a mile. So if my dad had adopted an EV, or even for his FEV had got a home charger, then you can see the massive savings that you can get from things like home charging and off-peak tariffs. And so yeah, I've not even included all the savings that we have on our home electricity from moving things like doing the dryer, doing the washing machine, doing the dishwasher, all on the off-peak energy, and bringing our average down from, if you don't have an EV, you're always going to be paying price cap. You're always going to be paying 21, 24, 25p a kilowatt hour, whereas we avoid that as much as possible and just pay the 7p rate. And I think my average pence per kilowatt hour is something like 11 to 14p. So we really take advantage of that. / I do a lot of miles, so most of it is the car. Right, well let me know if you have any questions, particularly about the Ionity subscription. So it's on promotion at the moment. It's only £7 rather than £10.50, and you pay 43p instead of 74p. And 43p for my car doing 4 miles per kilowatt hour, which is what we did. We did like 4.1 on the way back, which is my average for the car, since I had it new anyway. And that works out about 10p a mile, 11p a mile, which is at that 43p. So that is cheaper than petrol. Anyway, so even if you have a rapid charger, you can still get it cheaper than petrol. Yeah. Right then, so I'll sign off the video. Thanks for that. Oh, time-wise. So both charges, the first one was 29 minutes, and we only stayed as long as we needed to eat and get the kids sorted before we went to the airport, because we all needed the bathroom and things. And then the last one was 37 minutes. It was longer because the battery was colder, but there might have only been 2 minutes of waiting, whereas from my house or filling up a petrol thing, it's going to take, you know, the diversion would have been more than 2 minutes. The actual act of doing it, stood there in the cold, would have been more than 2 minutes. And so actually I think even time-wise, Evie didn't take any more time than otherwise. We would have had to stop at McDonald's anyway. We would have had both times. Maybe we'd have a bit more flexibility with where we stopped. But there isn't really any other healthy options on UK services anyway. So it'd have been some other junk food place, some other way. Other options could be, we might have just about made it to T-base services, or one of the other services that was more directly on the road. This Ionity was like 2 miles off the road. We only lost 2 minutes. Can't say that it really changed anything or was inconvenient in any way. So I think we still, not only did we save a little bit of money, we also saved probably a little bit of time as well, or at least we didn't lose any. So that's a couple of myths dispelled, that rapid chargers cost you loads of money. Well, you can avoid that quite well with these subscriptions, particularly if there's convenient Ionities, or Tesla's superchargers, or the other cheaper one is Fastnet. You can get fairly good deals with Fastnet with the subscription too. Okay, right, I'll sign off. Check out the referral codes below. For Octopus Energy, you get 50 quid, I get 50 quid, or Octopus Electroverse, you get £5, I get a £5. There is a referral code for Instavolt, because if you download the app with my code, then you get a £5, I get a £5. That really reduces the cost for rapid charging, so why not? And then finally there's Back Market, which is second-hand electronics, and we have loads from them now. It's really good.
Please come.
As you can hear, toddlers demanding my attention, so I'll see you later. Ciao.